Steer tightly into the first right-hander, and then as you leave the booster do a quick left-right to avoid airtime. Follow this with another quick left-right, as I found that this gave you a nice line into the right-hander at the bottom of the hill. I do a quick brake tap on the exit of the right-hander, as I found that it was far more consistent at avoiding the wall at the top in the main drift, even though double drifting like this is slower. I then do the longer main drift at the bottom of the hill up to give me the line to full speed around the right-hander at the top on the way up and around the corner at the top of the hill on the way back down. As soon as the car straightens out on the downslope, you need to full steer immediately left and begin the long drift left on the unwalled road section. I was late with the left steer here, and consequently my line is very far off and wide. Also, as I did here, I did an additional drift tap to bring the car back tighter at the end of the corner. I often got the line wrong in this corner, and needed this double drift. This again is slower than getting it all done in one smooth drift. On top of that, you do risk losing fifth gear if you were too tight into the drift. To avoid losing grip in this right-hander like I did here, you need to be more to the left. Then full steer right in the turn before quickly lining up with the green and white arrow sign. You want to aim a little bit to the right of the actual arrow to land a little further right than I did. This should then give you the perfect angle to go very close to the right corner in the chicane, with just a couple of right taps to straighten you out to avoid losing grip in the loop. Move over to the right side to give you more of a steering angle to the left. Then as you start the turn to the left, hold brake for just slightly longer than a tap. This allowed me to get a wideish line around the turn to build up for more speed to carry up the hill than a tighter line would have done. Aim fractionally to the left of the pillar with the arrow on it, as you want to carry straight on up the road instead of having to recover the landing from the left side like I did. Then steer quickly to the left to make the turn at the top of the hill. Aim to have the car slightly left of centre as you crest over this small jump. This should give you the smallest amount of airtime needed. As you leave the ground, start the car rotating to the right, aiming to land smoothly in the downslope. I chose to land in a drift as I found it gave more control to reliably miss the road wall on the left and at the top of the hill. Stay in the drift for just as long as needed to line up with getting a line around the right-hander on the upslope and the flag and hole at the top. Move over to the left to avoid airtime over the transition block. Then begin the drift to the right. I often underdrifted here, so make sure you are able to get turned enough to enter the slope down as early and with as little airtime as possible. Then move over to the right to give yourself an angle to turn left, head straight through the chicane, and then keep to the left for the uphill and jump, and hopefully keep straight for the landing. Move over to the right and then begin the left turn as you leave the ramp. I chose to leave the ramp close to the left at the top, as I felt this widened the margin of error for the landing and kept me from hitting the right road wall. As you begin to move away from the wall for the left-hander, tap brake to start a small drift to tighten the line if needed into the slope down, and aim for the right of the transition block to avoid airtime. Then drop down smoothly from the right into the curve. For both the ramp jump up and the drop down into the curve, you can also tap brake in the air if you can match the car's rotation with the gradient of the landing surface for a smoother landing. From a middle right line, aiming through the checkpoint, begin the drift down to the left. You can leave it a little later than I did here, as I once again had to do another drift correction. I am aiming to finish the drift to get tight around the corner, very close or slightly over where the road is cut out, before aiming up to the very left of the green and white arrow sign. Again, you can air brake to match the gradient of the landing surface to make it smoother. And then, on landing, keep tighter to the left than I did to avoid airtime into the finish. 18!